Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So this is an article that is out of Associated Press by Elisa Rafe. Associated Press, the lessons after threats drive a Black legislator to quit. And the first in her kind here to, in her town, to run for a legislative office, but she was driven to quit. And so before I even start this article, you have videos of people talking about they want to help the Black community and they want to do things to build schools, and they want to, support Black unity and Black love this, and yet you have a situation here where this person was trying to do something political, but they didn't have any support. They actually were threatened. And let's take a look at this article and see what happened here. Because the reason I'm doing this is because a lot of Black women that I notice won't even support one another. We're too busy fighting with each other and talking about each other and hurting each other and tearing each other down. However, the ones that are really trying to make change, why is it that they can't make change? Well, let's take a look over here and see what's going on. And so that points out some of the issues that we have within our own community. So here it says that Bennington, VT, Vermont, voters in this very liberal, very white state made Kiah Morris a pioneer when in 2014 they elected her as the first Black female legislator. 2 years later, another Vermont surfaced racist threats that eventually forced her to leave office in fear and frustration. Okay, so she had threats. And my question is where was the support of the Black community when this woman was trying to run for a political seat? After she won the Democratic primary for re-election to the state legislature in 2016, someone tweeted a cartoon caricature of a Black person at her, along with the vulgar phrase rendered in Ebonics. The tweeter threatened to come to the rallies and stalk her. Morris has said that this is what she's endured during the time she was trying to run for this office, this seat. So she won a protective order against him. But once that had expired, the harassment continued. So this is where we get that Black women are not protected and they're not supported. This is one of many examples. So the harassment then escalated into a break-in while the family was home, vandalism and death threats seen by her young son. And even after she announced that she wouldn't seek re-election, despite running unopposed, a group of youths pounded on her windows and doors at night, forcing her and her husband, convalescing after heart surgery, to leave the town. Finally, in late September, she resigned. There's obviously online harassment that can happen, and that's a part of our social media world right now. But then when things started happening in everyday life, that's when it became really worrisome and terrifying. She said in a recent interview with the Associated Press, so amid the racial and ideological polarization consuming the country, the Morris case highlights the dangers politicians of color face. And it reinforces that even liberal bubbles like Vermont shouldn't get too confident or comfortable in their cloaks of inclusivity. So no one should have to endure what Morris had endured or what she did, said the Vermont House Speaker, Mitzi Johnson, a white Democrat. So this is the deep racism coming out. And There are Vermonters hunting down other Vermonters here. So this is awful for our state, she said. Rather than shake our heads and say, oh, what a shame, we all need to buckle down and figure out what steps we can take and what steps each of us can take, however large or small, to erode some of the systems that allow racism to continue. So the sheriff of New Jersey, most populous county, resigned last month after a recording surfaced in which he had made derogatory remarks about blacks. And the state's first SCI attorney general, okay, so I may not have pronounced it as S-I-K-H. So in August, a Georgia man was sentenced to prison for racist threats against the two U.S. senators, including Black South Carolina Republican Tim Scott. And so racism and racial animus is a chronic illness in this country. And so it's not something that just comes in waves in certain places. It's always there simmering, said Gloria Brown Marshall, a professor of constitutional law at New York's John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and another book of Race, Law, and American Society, 1607 to present. So Vermont was the first state to abolish slavery in 2000, and in 2000 became the first to legally recognize same-sex unions and civil unions. So a prosecutor, or precursor to gay marriage, in other words. So it has elected Green Party and socialist candidates. Even its Republican governor would be considered left of center in a conservative state. But Vermont is also 94.4% white, according to the census statistics. So the black population is about 1.4%, and or about 8,700 people that reside there. So in recent years, like elsewhere in the country, racism has bubbled up, including white supremacist flyers posted this year on college campuses all over that county. And so in a state that wants to promote itself as a liberal bastion, the majority of people outraged should have been there protecting Morris Brown Marshall said. Morris said that she was dissatisfied with the response by Bennington police when she reported the acts against her and her family, and the police chief has defended his department's handling of the complaints. So she's grateful that the Attorney General's office and Vermont State Police are now investigating the matter. So when independent U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders, who's despite a liberal pedigree, has struggled to connect with black voters, learned that Morris was not seeking re-election because of the threats, he called the situation outrageous, and in a statement to the Burlington Free Press, said it is not what Vermont is about. Excuse me. And so in the state of Vermont, no elected official candidate or person should be fearful of their safety because of their skin color or their point of views, he wrote. So the corrosion of the political discourse is destructive to our democracy, and we cannot let it take hold. So Morris said that she has received other support from Vermonters, but said that the hard part is learning the system is not set up to protect her at all. You hear that word? She's not protected. This is a black woman who was running for office, and she was getting death threats and harassment because she was running for office. And so you have all these YouTube videos and you have all these Instagram and all this stuff about people talking about they're in religions and they're trying to protect the black community and they're trying to link up black women with black males that are probably not the right men to be involved with for any woman, not even for themselves. You have a woman here who she was running for office and she doesn't even get support from her own community and from people that are like her or that have the same interest in mind and make changes for better for people who are in difficult or marginalized positions. in this country. So Morris said that she has received other support from Vermonters, but said that the hard part is learning the system is not set up to protect her. So I cannot be a legislator that I want to be. I cannot speak my truth in the ways that need to have been said, she said. So I cannot do things to be secure and be assured of the safety for myself and my family. And that is the really unfortunate truths that she has expressed here. So up top, there's a video. I believe you can see who she was or whom she was, because when I first started it out, I kind of stopped it. But this woman is a Black woman or a woman of color who is trying to run for office, and she doesn't even feel safe doing it. And so a lot of times you'll have these videos where, you know, some people will make mention, I have made mention of the safety of Black women isn't there. And the support of Black women, it really isn't there. And you have other Black women who are out to hurt other Black women. If they see you have a difference of opinion, or you think differently, or you don't agree with all of the things that they say, they want to hurt you. And so they don't support one another. And so that's the reason why we don't move ahead. We have all these people like Yvette Carnell, you know, Dr. Boyce Watkins, and Dr. Umar, all these doctors, all these people that's supposed to know everything. And then they've got all this following. They got all these people talking about all these political issues. But where's the support in women like this who can actually make some changes? There is none. You don't hear them talking about anything. The only thing you hear them talking about is when somebody's been harassed or when something happened to someone, and you don't hear them supporting these candidates. You don't hear that they're donating to these organizations to try to see if they can make change, because they don't have their interest invested in women at all. You know, you see how they treat women who aren't of color or who are supposedly white. So think about how they treat women who are Black. There is no good treatment. There is no protection, there is no security, and there is no feeling comfort in your own communities, especially if you have a difference of opinion. So if you think differently or outside the box, or you're in agreement with somebody else's rights, you're bashed for that. You're bashed for not having a collective view on certain issues. So now, the only thing that I can say is that, let's say if she wasn't a liberal, she was a Republican. If she had had some issues that I was in disagreement with, I would have said I agree with some things and disagree with others. But however, she should be given the right to be protected. She should be given the right to, you know, voice opinions, but then also she should not be bashed for her skin color and threatened and harassed and her family harassed simply because she was running for office and she happened to be a woman of color. And so this is where I have a problem with some of these videos they put out, and you see that these women aren't protected. So just think of like a regular, just some woman that isn't running for office. She's a woman of color, how she feels in her community, not protected. And so, you know, even if you're not famous, you know, and so you're not protected. I mean, clearly you see that, you know, even sometimes women of our own background are not in support of women of color, and they're a woman of color themselves. And so we have a lot of fighting, a lot of cattiness, a lot of backbiting, a lot of people trying to hurt one another, and they don't want to see you successful. And if you are successful, they have a problem with that. So they're trying to figure out ways to tear you apart or rip you apart. If you say something that makes sense, that they know it makes sense, they don't want you to say too much of that. And they want somebody else leading. They want things to continue to be flawed or messed up. And, you know, they get a rise out of that. That's what I've learned. And so there is no real, you know, quote unquote, quote, people who are really in your corner when they're on these sites and everything like this. Nobody, with the exception of myself, I'll speak for myself, that will tell the truth, you know. And when you do tell truth, you know, people are angry with you and they don't want to hear you. When people who have less viewers or less subscribers, and they're not real big and popular, they have nothing to lose. They will say the truth, and I'm one of them. I will say what's on my mind. I'll say the truth, and I'll admit that we don't have support for Black women in our communities. Even other Black women will hurt other Black women, and we have a lot of Black males who don't support Black women. And so we see that in these videos. You can hear it in the language because the patterns don't match up. They have these videos where you click on them and you think that the video is talking in high regards to Black women all over, but then shortly thereafter, the videos start to change, and then the conversation is about how to bash women or how to bash Black females. And so we have that even in these videos. What is it, Professor Black Truth and all this stuff? He may say stuff well and good, but he's not for Black women either. He actually bashes them, and he says a lot of mean things. And he said a lot of mean things when you had this one lady, she was trying to get him to reveal himself. Now, I will say this. Some people don't want to show who they are because maybe they're in a certain position or a job where they don't want to air their self out like that. And so maybe they just want to leave it as personal blogs that maybe, or even public blogs that can be, you can hear it and stuff, but they're not trying to gain a lot of popularity in terms of who they look like and all what have you, because some people do that. They dress up, they put on makeup, or they have flashiness in the background, or they want you to see who they are because they want to be propped up or whatever that is. You know, everybody's got something they're trying to do, but that ain't me. And so I can understand that point. But the thing is that you have a lot of these people on here who don't support Black women at all. And so even, I'll be honest with you, I don't think Boyce Watkins, he's really that supportive. He says one thing, but he totally, in the beginning, I've seen some other videos from him. He doesn't, you know, he says a lot of negative things that are real misogynistic. And he maybe he doesn't see it that way, but I've heard it in the messages. You know, you just got to pay close attention. He wants donations, he wants money, and he has other women. He has women that makes videos like they're for the Black community, but they just want your donations and your money. They don't give a shit about you. And so that, I'm just being honest. And there's some other ones, they have this religions and all this Black religion stuff. They do the same thing. They don't care about you. They just want your money. And then I'm starting to feel like maybe some of these older women that maybe they have sons, and the sons, they can't find anybody that'll put up with their bullshit. So they're hoping that they can find some weak woman online so they can snag her and bring all their craziness and chaos to her. And so I think that's why some of these women, these older chicks, are trying to push the Black love stuff, because they got some sons that they're trying to unload that probably have lived with them, and they're trying to figure out how to get them married off so they can get them out of their hands. So I'm guessing that's what's probably one of the reasons as well, but because nobody else wants to be bothered with them, you know, so she's tired of taking care of them. But anyway, there is not enough support in our community for one another. And so, you know, we keep talking about economics, we keep talking about, you know, trying to build things or trying to bring up things. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen as long as we have violence against Black women. It's not going to happen as long as we have women who hurt other women in our own circle and tear each other down, you know, for whatever reason. It's not going to happen if we have men that just want to control everything and dominate everything, and they don't want to give women an opportunity to have a say-so on a panel having to do with politics. It's nothing good is going to come to any of it if you have people that just bring blatant anger out, and then they don't really have anybody that can be level-headed and express what all of the issues are. Everybody's say-so is not everybody's thought or feelings and what they're going through. Everybody has different stories to tell. So one person like Yvette Carnell, she can go to all the meetings, the forums she wants to go to. but nothing's going to change. Everybody doesn't accept the same rhetoric that she's bringing out. And then there are other groups, other people that are out there that are putting videos out, trying to get you to join religions. That won't be me, because I know what that's all about, because they want money from you too. Eventually they will. And then too, they want you to indoctrinate you and fill you full of poison with all of their crazy beliefs that women should be subservient. And so, and then next thing you know, you're in a relationship with a wife beater. So, I've seen it done. I've seen it done. I'm just saying from experience, I've seen what people have gone through with some of these pro-Black religions. And then, you have the same problems, never really getting any better in these communities at all. And so I just think that people need to be more smart about what choices they make. But anyway, this video here, this is the woman who feels like she had to be driven out from what she was trying to, put herself in a political seat. And she feels like that she was driven out of that position because she didn't feel safe. And I don't blame her. We don't protect one another. And it's always like that. And I don't think it really will change. But anyway, I'm going to play this video. So she'll, talk more about what the problems are in there. There might be just wording. This is the Kiah Morris. She was elected the first female state representative or legislator. She won the Democratic primary for re-election in the state 2016, and someone tweeted a caricature of a Black person. And it was something extremely negative. Okay, so that was pretty much the clip. This is Kiah Morris right here.
I realized in seeing what's happened over the last few years, and seeing the response and the lack of response that we've had, and just seeing how our system is not set up in a way to protect someone like me, I cannot be the legislator that I want to be. I cannot speak my truths in the way that need to have been said. I cannot do those things and be secure and be assured of the safety for myself and my family. And that is really unfortunate, because there is a component of harm that takes place, whether you want to say that it was protected speech or not. And that has not been, I feel, fully vetted and appreciated yet. So we need to continue to interrogate that. These are the things that we have to do in order to make it better for the next person who wants to sit in this seat, for that next person who wants to be that courageous truth teller, and for even that local advocate or that child at a high school, whomever it might be, that needs to have that protection of feeling safe in their communities, feeling supported, feeling believed, and validated that their lives and their experiences are important, and that this type of action is completely unacceptable. The things that have happened to me that are completely unacceptable. Are our law enforcement actually equipped, capable, and knowledgeable enough to really deal with these types of complex cases that on their face may seem like a simple act of vandalism, but have so much more happening underneath? They don't have those capabilities. When it comes to our state's attorney and they see the evidence and they're saying, I can't move forward with charges because the statute's not strong enough, that's a systemic failure that has to be addressed, or otherwise everyone is left vulnerable.
So there you have it. You know, Black women are not protected whatsoever.
Good vibes from stud running back Jared.
So she basically expressed what kinds of feelings she has and how she feels unprotected. She didn't get enough support even from law enforcement while she was in her seat. And so that says a lot about who we are as people, that if we're about Black unity and Black love, where was that protection for this woman whom she was running for office? She actually won her seat, but she was threatened, and she was threatened online. Where was the support for her? And so she's not the only one that has experienced this, but hearing it from someone such as her, the way she looks, you know, I can relate. I can relate fully. You know, you have these people claiming that they're in support of Black people, yet when you have somebody really trying to do something to make changes, you don't see that support. It is contrary to what people are saying, you know, so people are not really honest. And so a lot of these videos that people have made talking about how they want to make changes to the community, they want to build, they want to, you know, revamp, and they want to strategize on economics for Black people. You don't really see the support. When you do see somebody trying to do something, they're getting harassed, they're getting threatened, and there's no support, especially if they're Black females. And so you don't have the support that you would. Now, if it was a Black male, he's going to get threatened, but he's going to have more support. So there is a certain privilege you get with being a male, even in this country. And so that's another thing I wanted to mention, because of her being a Black female. There are some men that'll see that and they'll say, you know, I don't want her to be elected. Men are supposed to lead those positions, not women, you know. So I believe some of it had to do with misogyny or sexism. So she was experiencing that, unfortunately. And so with that having said that, I'm going to let this video go. So thanks for listening.